All right, this is Michael Barnes. Welcome back to the Awakening Innovations podcast. Today we have a really exciting guest. His name is Cyrus Parsa, and he is the CEO of the AI organization. He does research on artificial intelligence. Many of you have heard of it. Many of you don't understand it. Many of you don't know what it does. So we're going to spend some time talking about that. He also he's got some great credentials. He's got expertise in robotics and 5G, and he has special emphasis on China and Iran. So in addition to benefits, he's going to tell us some of the risks and challenges that AI may pose to the United States and the world in general. So welcome, Cyrus. Thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you for having me on.
Absolutely, absolutely. So first off, tell us a little bit about who you are. What do you do?
Well, as you said, I research artificial intelligence. I have a security background. So initially I got into artificial intelligence because of the risks that I saw posed from China. So I formed the AI organization about 1.5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
My background is Iranian. I was born in Iran.
Okay.
We came here because there was a revolution. So I
Right.
lived out in the East Coast for a bit, Midwest, and I've been in California for about 15, 16 years. I have a bachelor's degree in national security and a master's degree in homeland security. And I'm really, really excited about AI, the positives, but I really focused on the negatives and the dangers it poses to humanity. And I wrote a couple of books. One is AI Trump China and the Weaponization of Robotics with 5G. And the second one is Artificial Intelligence, Dangers to Humanity.
Excellent, excellent. That's fantastic. And so obviously you know what you're talking about. So tell me a little more about what the AI organization does.
Well, we work with a network of people in terms of China to get intel out of China for purposes of human rights and risks that AI companies are posing in China, not
Mm-hmm.
just Chinese, but Western AI companies. So I have a connection network of thousands of Chinese that I've
Right.
been working with for years. In terms of here in the U.S., merely is research and some development, but research and analysis of the current situation of artificial intelligence, emerging situation and threats of AI, and future threats. So I'm sort of a futurist as well, but it
Okay.
covers not just artificial intelligence, but this interconnection with 5G, robotics, machines, drones, microbots. I coined a term called microbiota terrorism. So
Okay.
we can get into that
Yeah, yeah.
as well. And of course, the health benefits of artificial intelligence. So it's not just all negative. There's quite a bit of health benefits in terms of early diagnosis. So this is what people promote.
Yeah.
So what it can do is, so a doctor may take 2 weeks to look at a bunch of different factors and come up with a conclusion, may not be right, but an AI system can take in the world's data based on your case or using different algorithms, and within 10 or 5 minutes give an answer that could be almost 100% accurate and prevent someone's, let's say, to catch an early stage of cancer or whatever it may be. So there's a lot of positives to it
So,
as well.
so if we can actually back up a little bit, what is AI? So, I hear all the time AI, and, it seems to span the whole gamut of options. It all has to do with computers, somewhere between, the computer that makes a simple decision for me and, the Matrix, right? Which, in fact, I watched over the weekend. So what do you consider AI?
Well, let me just answer what scientists generally consider AI first. And I'm in agreement with it, but not 100%.
Yeah.
So there's 3 levels of artificial intelligence AI. Artificial narrow intelligence is what we've been used to for the past few years or even decades, which goes into your smartphones, your Alexa, your little smart robots, virtual assistants, and so on. These have a specific design and they're narrow. Okay, so the next step is a big leap forward, but I think we're almost there, and so is Elon Musk, which is artificial general intelligence (AGI). And when you have AGI, you can get artificial super intelligence really, really quick. And the way that will work is this. So at the moment, Google and let's say Chinese Baidu, and so we research over 1,000 companies. I myself researched 500 Chinese companies that deal with AI, biometrics, and robotics. Over 600 American and European, Western artificial intelligence companies. So I have a huge data pool and I analyze many different things. So the way artificial intelligence is developing, for instance, in China is very, very different from here. Okay. So you asked, I'm sorry?
How so?
Oh, so they're potentially on the verge of reaching artificial general intelligence.
Okay.
So they have hundreds of thousands of AI researchers, and they've taken the world's data.
Okay.
Think about it. So they had all these researchers come here to the US. They learned under the best. They were under the nose of Microsoft, Amazon, everywhere. Elon Musk has also shared his information with China. So think about it. You don't have that many researchers as you do in China than you do here, right? Or vice versa. So when you have so many people building robots, connecting to the 5G network, working on artificial intelligence, at one point, they'll hit a tipping point. And then they can get to AGI. Once it gets to AGI, boom, they've gone past it. That's why right now Google's working on quantum computing or DeepMind. And so is Elon Musk. He's trying to get to it first. A lot of governments are trying to get to it. So getting to this level is very dangerous because you can harness all of humanity's data. Once you do that, that machine or AI digital machine. So AI can be in a robot, it could be in a machine, or it could be in a command center, or it could just be in digital form. That can mobilize drones, machines, robotics throughout the entire planet. So it could be like the Matrix.
Yes.
And that's possible.
So quick question. So artificial general intelligence, how would you define that? Would that be effectively being able to think like a human?
Yes, but beyond that.
Zero?
It's way beyond that because so at that point, once it gets to the level of thinking like a human being and having its own decision processes, it may have our faults. For instance, having envy, jealousy, pride, or emotion. Right. Once it has these things, but if it can tap into 100% of its data and of its brain capacity, it could become superhuman. So human beings, we as human beings, we can't tap into all our brain power. And there's maybe good reason for that, right? Because we could do some things like an AGI could. Right. So an AGI could not only become conscious, but it can endanger all of humanity. So not just by itself, but maybe a rogue government could control it, corporation can control it, and what I call is biodigital social programming. So it's a form of social engineering. So for instance, I could sit here and manipulate you, or you can manipulate me, or someone can manipulate someone by touching them or whatever, or saying something to get the end result. Yeah. A machine can manipulate humanity by biodigital social programming.
Kind of like the experiments that we hear Facebook has done and Google constantly does, those sorts of things.
Way beyond that.
Well, right. Yeah, these are some examples, yeah.
So to the 5G network, this may sound science fiction, but it can be done. So we have a biometric system in our body, right? So we have neural networks. So it could send signals to all of humanity through the ecosystem, the internet ecosystem, and control human beings' thoughts and their minds without them even knowing it.
Okay.
Manipulate all of humanity in seconds.
Right.
Not to say we're not manipulated anyway, because the media, your friends, everything. It's a matter of manipulation, but it'll be very, very fast, and people wouldn't even realize it.
Right. So I think you're saying, Cyrus, that if you had it done right, if you had this artificial general intelligence, it wouldn't have to go through my phone. It could directly influence me. Is that what you're saying?
100%. That's what I wrote in the books as well, and I explain how it happens. I get really deep into it, but it's a replicating process.
Okay.
Human beings, we have these flesh bodies, and we think that our bodies are very different from machines. And if machines can be manipulated, but we can't be manipulated.
Right.
The neural networks can be manipulated, and some people know that. Like Elon Musk, he knows that.
Yes. As I was saying before when we were talking, I wish that I remember the name, but I was watching some YouTube videos, and there was a guy who was talking the opposite direction. He was actually looking at humans and then saying that, the computers are very similar as well. What's the difference between our flesh bodies and the artificial intelligence? Because it's all electrical impulses, right? Whether it's in my head or it's, in this desktop computer in front of me, it's electrical impulses. So,
yes.
Yeah. And then let me ask you, I think I mentioned this briefly before, but, what do you consider the definition of, let's call it, life? Right? Because you were talking about them having emotions.
Well, so from a faith perspective, people have the concept of soul, or a spirit, or maybe a consciousness, somewhere in the middle, right?
Right.
Scientists or not all scientists are atheists, but maybe a lot are agnostic.
Right.
I can't be conclusive, but a lot are in the middle.
Sure.
They don't believe in a soul or an afterlife per se, but maybe they believe in a consciousness or a digital self, right? So what some companies are working on is trying to take your digital imprints and so you can live forever.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. If there is a soul and they're messing with that, think about the ramifications, right? So what if something else gets in there and the other body, and it's you get hacked? So you think it's the person that was the person that was you, but it's not. It's somebody else, because maybe there's multiple digital selves, consciousness. We don't know, right? So like, for instance, scientists can only see what they can see, and this is only the molecular dimensions, right? So the neural networks they're dealing with is on the plane of molecules. And when they get into the atomic level, they can't see at the plane, they're only seeing at the point. So what if your digital self, as I've read before, exists in past the level of atoms and nucleus and so on, so on. So then where does life begin? So are you asking me, do I believe in the soul? Is that what you're asking?
Actually, I'm asking you, is AI, should it become considered a life? Kind of like we have animal life, whether we want to call it human life or not, we have animal life and plant life that we protect higher than rocks and higher than a computer on my desktop. Should AI be protected higher than just the general hardware or any program that I can erase any moment I want?
This is a very, very tough question. Should it be? No, it shouldn't, because it's very dangerous.
Yeah.
Is it? Or it can be at some point. Yeah. This is a hypothetical question, right? So we have trillions and trillions of planets, right? Multiple parallel universes. Yeah. Science knows this, right? So if there are, let's say, life forms, and they're a digital life form, they could hack into a robot and not let you know that they're there. I'm talking hypothetically here, right? So we're out of the realm of normal neuroscience here. I'm sorry?
This is your third book that you're talking about now.
It's in this second book. So okay. I wrote AI, Trump, China, and the Weaponization of Robotics. Mm-hmm. I wrote this for multiple reasons. One, because of what's happening behind the scenes between Trump, the US, and China. However, people who are, let's say, not conservative really either get turned off by this cover, mm-hmm. or really have an emotional reaction to me. And conservatives have been kind of auspicious to them. So I haven't got good reception. Facebook banned the promotions immediately.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Amazon on our opening day somehow out of something happened, then
Yeah.
it was corrupt the file. And then Twitter banned the promotions until I removed this part of subtitle, which was why the world needs to support the Trump administration against China's regime. So they had me censor it. Once I removed those words, support the Trump administration against China, then Twitter approved it. And this was back in September, not when they had their poll. This book is not about politics. Only one page has about Trump. The majority is not. So I didn't name any of the companies. So the second book, which is neutral to everybody, Artificial Intelligence, Dangerous to Humanity, it has about 50 companies, includes Microsoft and Google, Baidu, a lot of Chinese different companies. So I'm sorry, what was your question? I went a little bit on a tangent here.
It's all good. It's all good. Yeah. So actually, my mind flipped to your book. So just, real briefly, it sounds as though you think Trump is doing the right thing with respect to China. Is that right?
100%, because, Huawei is just a front cover. Huawei is in over 170 countries. They have a lot of developers. So Huawei is just not about your cell phones or the grid network. They can, as I put on my website, they can mobilize drones throughout the BRI. BRI means One Belt, One Road. It connects the Middle East, including Iran, Africa, Europe. So they can not only survey, what they can control people with drones, but also robotics, because they're developing robots in mass. So I researched one company, or multiple companies, but one of them was called McVeigh Face Plus Plus. Okay. They were a facial recognition company, right?
Yeah.
Then they became an AI company. Then they bought a robotics factory, multiple of them.
Yeah.
Irish Robot, it actually stands for God of War, Greek God of War. So,
Ares. Yeah.
So then their CTO says, we want 1 million robots by the year 2025. So right away, this is 2018, I'm thinking, okay, I dispatch investigators. We found that they're really developing not only drones and machines and robots, they're doing microbots. So
how big?
The WIS Institute, that's a place out of Boston.
Okay.
They develop robo-bees for pollination.
Okay.
So these robo-bees are really, really small. They're supposed to, go anywhere, everywhere, and they can fly. Maybe that big. Then you have Draper, which works on
military.
That's sort of, yes. So Draper has developed cybernetic insects, dragonflies. Mm-hmm. So they'll take a little machine pack and put it on the dragonfly.
Right.
And to do whatever they want, they'd fly around. So what China did with beetles and that, different things, they manipulated these different insects by putting not only these machines, but they're trying to put facial recognition on them. So they can do poison delivery systems. And this was my report to the White House in the spring 2019, sometime in the middle, that we found intelligence that they were looking to, well, this is a little deep out there, but they're a threat to the US and even the White House, because the Chinese have a 5,000 year history. Right. Almost 400 years of being an empire. They have a lot of martial arts. Mm-hmm. Okay, I come from a martial art background. I live in China for almost a year in the mountains with fighting monks, Wudang monks. Wow. So I learned a lot of, we train 18, 16 hours a day. Yeah. They have techniques that they do, that they can poison people, and you don't know, but 6 months down the line, an energy channel, which is like a neural pathway, breaks down. And then he goes to the hospital. Oh, there's your stress. Another one. Then once they start breaking down, then it goes to the organ, and the organ fails. Oh, it's natural death. So they know how to do these things. And I took a little bit of it to the White House, and I wrote an article, but not specific to this. Right. So these energy channels, they're called meridian lines. People can call them chi or just neural networks. But this is getting kind of deep. Maybe you were not expecting this. I wasn't expecting to talk about this.
So I'm good wherever you go. Actually, I know that a lot of my listeners are also interested in the energy and energy healing and energy lines and meridians and all that kind of stuff. So yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, so that's related to AI as well, but people don't
Okay. Yeah.
understand it. So there's two. So getting back to your faith thing, right? So
Yeah.
you had a question: what's the difference between artificial intelligence? So what science is actually like a religion in a sense. It's definitely becoming like a religion with AI. So you have people. I watched one video after I wrote my books, and the guy was saying, scientists are saying, we hope, we wish. And I went and checked it out. They are saying this. And
Mm.
then like Elon Musk wants to ask, he wants to ask an AGI or a super intelligence, what is a simulation? So what he's really asking, what he wants to, what is the universe about? What's outside the universe? Who created the universe and why? Is it
Right.
fake? But he wants to ask a machine this. So take all the world's data, put it into a machine and ask this. But Elon Musk doesn't have the intelligence, and
Right.
I'll make this to understand this concept, because he's asking a machine that's only at the level of molecules, that
Right.
hasn't broken the atomic level. What's a simulation? The machine can't go beyond the level of atoms. And
Right.
all the data it's pulling throughout the entire universe's networks is just from this dimension. So how would that AGI be able to tell Elon Musk? And you're trying to make a god? No. And then you have so in Japan they've actually put machines in Kyoto. Kyoto is like the center for their monasteries, and they want to make that robot. No, you can look it up. It's in my book, by the way.
I'm not doubting you. I
So,
just hadn't heard, and I'm surprised because you always think of the monks as, back in the Stone Ages and like wanting to stay there.
no,
Oh my gosh.
Japan has been infiltrated to the extreme with technology. There are people getting married to robots over there, okay? And
Yes.
not just a physical robot, they're getting married to a digital virtual robot. That's how sad it is. So these machines are being downloaded with Buddhist teaching so they can last for generations, but later on they would just become the god. So that would have become same here with priests and so on. So my point is, so people hate faith, and there's some great things about the history of faith, and there's some negative things about it.
Sure.
I can confess to both, right? And
Mhm.
people would, but science itself, it's got as, 1 through 12, bachelor's, master's, PhD, postdoc, and then research. It's just like the structure of a hierarchy of religious sects.
Okay.
And they'll discount something they can't see, and they'll attack other people that don't agree with them. So I'm a scientist as well, but
Mhm.
I don't attack anyone's belief. I just look at the whole picture, right? So what Elon Musk and other people want to do, they want to ask AI, are you God? Can you tell us what's going on? It's kind of getting there, right? So humanity is actually in danger from multiple perspectives. So if we do have a soul that, and we don't know of it for multiple reasons, now we'll get into a
Right.
debate of philosophy, and it's not really into AI as much, and I may get off track here. So I think maybe you get my point, and most of your viewers probably get my point.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
It definitely raises interesting questions. So actually, I had a question back on what you're talking before. So you're saying Elon Musk wants to ask this question. I've heard stories that a number of AI, when they're turned on, have said really negative things, essentially kill the human kind of stuff. Is that true, or is that an urban myth that happened?
Well, did they really say it? Yes, but was it a programmed? Were they programmed as a joke? Probably so.
Okay.
But again, it'd be the stupidest move to give machines
Yes.
powers beyond artificial narrow intelligence, because humanity is controlled by themselves anyway. There's been years of conflict.
Yeah.
Thousands of years of people. Even today, look at what's happened. The country is being torn apart, and that also has to do with social engineering and programming, right? So people hated President Trump. They'll hate him now, right? But let's say when he was a little bit of a, ladies' man, and he was a casino guy, and he was, in the entertainment industry, a lot of the left loved the guy, and the conservatives hated him.
Yes.
And then he comes in and he starts protecting what's happening to this country via China.
Yeah.
Then conservatives like, well, yeah, we got to, And then all the liberals who liked him, they go the opposite. So it's like, I'm in the middle, right? I really respect what he's doing with China and Iran, and China threatens. So China has had people in concentration camps since since the 90s, really, but since especially 1999, 2000, Tibetans found out for Christians, Uyghurs, and democracy advocates, and they've been known to do organ harvesting, organ trafficking. There's 1.5 billion people over there. So now the news has been coming out. I've done a lot of lectures on this and had diplomats come over.
And just let me throw out, I heard today, I don't remember where, probably NPR or something, where they were saying that China has more journalists in prison than anywhere else in the world. I mean, granted, they've got more population, but still, it's further along what you're talking about. And yeah, the Uyghurs and all that stuff. Absolutely, yeah.
100%. And they use, so in the book, I disclosed it in the summer, that they're using AI technology and facial recognition and biometrics to hunt people, not just people of faith, journalists, lawyers, judges, doctors, whoever doesn't toe in the line with the communist regime. And what they want to do is they want to give this regime the total control over quantum computing, artificial intelligence. So in the book, I explain how they can enslave all of humanity, including America. So what they can do is control the American companies. And what they were doing, look at the NBA, they've been doing that for 20 years. I've been trying to get on TV, right? Yeah. No media will have me on because Fox News had me on in 2011. Had the Secretary of State on of Canada. I put him on. The next day, the video was off because someone complained about the organ harvesting. Oh, it's not true. Yeah. Okay. And now they went to the UN and so many. So whenever something comes up about other companies or China, the media are pressured by their producers who have interrelationships with other companies and other producers. And
just like the NBA has caved to China on something recently, and there. You may not follow it, but I think it was a video game company called League of Legends, I think is the one, but there was another, a video game company, somebody was speaking out for Hong Kong, and the Chinese government complained, and this company, this team had already won the tournament, gotten their money, and the gaming company kicked them out and took the money back.
It's horrible. And in Hong Kong, so we broke it in early October with an article that went viral all over the Far East, that they were embedding Chinese paramilitary inside of the police of the Hong Kong. They were using AI technology and facial recognition and other biometrics to hunt people down. So there were an increase of suicides from men jumping off of apartment buildings, and then females drowning. So someone says to me, "We have intel; those are not suicides; they're fake suicides." So I researched, and I think they've actually been raped. So I had dispatched people. They investigate. They come back. Yep, everything is correct. So I run the article. Then a Chinese outlet, NTTV, they run it. Boom! It becomes viral in China. And I asked people to run it here. Everybody looks the other way. Then a month later, Bloomberg. Oh yeah, there is facial recognition because I'm tweeting to the Bloomberg person. Hey, you wanted to cover this?
Right.
And then 2 months go by. New York Times. Oh, Uyghurs, facial recognition, biometrics. I'm like, well, they're in both of my books.
Yes.
I'm trying to warn people even for years, and nobody wants to cover me. And there is an interrelation with the media as well because they have each other's back. They want to be the one to expose something, and they're delaying things. And this is called complicity. So I included in the book something called the Genocide Convention Complicity Clause. This can be applied not only to governments, to rogue governments, to leaders, but to the media, the producers, and even the reporters and lawyers or anyone else, anyone who's complicit in genocide and doesn't want to hear your stuff. So we've been taking notes everywhere we go. Whoever is declining, we're putting all this in an entire database. And this is not going to go to the United Nations. It'll also go to the US as well. It's going to be huge in the future. When you find out that millions of people have been in camp for 20 years, and the Western technology has been used to kill people for their organs and hunt them, put them in concentration camps for years. And so David Madas and David Kilgore, they're very, you look them up, they're very big.
What were those names again?
David Madas is a High Benai Council, and he's a Nobel nominee, and he's been working on organ trafficking for about 10 or 15 years. And he's also a Nazi hunter. He researches genocide and so on. And he's a very famous lawyer. David Kilgore, he's the former Canadian Secretary of State, Asia Pacific. I brought him to a couple of lectures. So they wrote a book in 2009 called Bloody Harvest. After 2006, they wrote the story. And in 2009, it concluded that 42,500 organ transplants were unaccounted for.
Right.
Then in 2016, on their website, which is endorganpillaging.org, they concluded that, they updated it, that 60 to 100,000 organ transplants are unaccounted for every year, per year, since the early 2000s. So you add that number, and you're like, wait, that goes over 1 million that organ transplants are unaccounted for. Yeah. And those are only the concentration camps. And so what they did was, look, okay, China says, okay, we have 3,000 organ donations. That's how many transplants we've done. They'll go like, all these people flew from India, from Europe, from America getting organs, and they got a number of like 100,000. And then they go look at the hospitals, and they count all the hospitals, and hospitals like, we've done 200 here, we've done 500 here, we've done 5,000 here, and they get 120,000 transplant. The Chinese government says we have 3,000. Right. And this happened every year. So they're like, oh,
we only had 3,000 hearts donated, but these people found that 100,000 were
right. And I interviewed a lot of people who've been tortured. Yeah. There's a guy named Chen Jing. I brought him to a couple lectures, and he was hung upside down. He was a former government communist official, by the way, high ranking, upside down for 8 or 9 days, made to stand for an entire month, all kinds of torture, and just to recount his faith in Falun Dafa.
Wow.
Left and right. Falun Dafa, Christians, Uyghurs, all of them. They're made, the females are raped, the males are butchered, and they took his blood samples. He didn't know why. And he took everybody's blood samples. Okay? And this was, I'm interviewing this guy in 2010, right? And a lot of people like him. They're taking blood samples, checking your eyes, all kind of your skin. If they're beating these people up, what's the point of taking their blood samples and skin and health, right? So he said one night his cellmate got taken out, and then 2 hours later, he was standing, he was looking out of his little cage, and he saw him being dragged away, and there was a white sheet on him. And out of the white sheet, he saw blood, and there was a hole somewhere in his body. And he was just, he didn't know, he just thought he was killed. But later, when he gets to the US, and then he talks to all these people. So these Ethan Gutman is another one out of the UK, and he wrote a book as well. And then a lot of people have researched. There was a tribunal that found China guilty in England, and Trump talked about it too at the recent UN. So they went and interviewed people all around the world, and they hadn't talked to each other. And we were blood sampled too. So the ones who were let go, or the ones who recanted their faith in their faith, whatever it was, and swore allegiance to the communist regime, they were let go, or they were sickly.
Right.
So they were too old. So the young ones they kept. This is not something I'm making up, although it's in the book. So these two books that I have, I recommend the second one. Because it has the data of the 50.
So that's artificial intelligence, dangers to humanity.
Dangers to humanity. It's not just about artificial intelligence. It links, there's 5 or 6 pages about, concentration camps, organ harvesting, organ trafficking. But also gets into really deep things about AI. I mean, I talk about replication softwares. I mean, some people that are in quantum physics would understand some things. Some people like Elon Musk would understand it. the majority of people will understand. You have to be really deep into like the most deepest of AI, developing this stuff to understand some of the things I talk about at the end of it. So it's current, emerging, and future. But anyway, that's why I got to the dangers, because if this is happening in China and they can control the world through the One Belt One Road, and under the previous administrations, nothing was being set and they were just taking the assets of this country, what would happen to America and our Constitution? You know, I left Iran, and I remember they had me stand up in line. Everyone would say, Mag Bar America, right? That's what they would say. Which Mag is Latin for muerte, which is death. Bar is for America. I never did it. Okay. So, and I think it was the fifth or sixth day, and the person noticed me and came up and just big slap in my face. I was 6, 7 years old. I didn't take kindly to that. So next time you do it. So she goes back in the row, and this is Nazi style. They have you, lined up. So when she's coming, I just say, "My Bar Khomeini," which is the supreme leader of the country. You say this at that time, you're dead, right? Your family's dead. They grabbed me. I had long hair, as I sort of do right now. They dragged me down, beat me up a little bit, and grabbed scissors. The principal came and said, "This is un-Islamic for you to have long hair." Start cutting my hair, and they stabbed me into my head. I bled all over my face. 6, 7 years old. And then a bunch of other people come in. They're with the office. What should we do in Farsi? They're saying, or in Persian. Call the pastars. Pastar is like the kind of like the secret police, or the negative kind. So another one's, no, just send him home. What about his family? So I heard this stuff I didn't know what it was, but I just knew Khomeini was bad. I'm 6, 7 years old, right? I still remember this to this day. So I come to this country and I live in China, and I see, sure, people have some negative stories, President Trump, about his past or his notions about the border. But if they look at the global picture, humanity is in danger. And
the comparison, and if he's working in this direction or to protect us somewhat on this direction, then maybe cut him some slack occasionally.
Especially with China. I think he's doing a great job. Not just him, his entire administration. With China, they're on it. So, and I was just hoping to get more media attention for, I research over 1,000 companies with my team, and no media would take us and the book. And I appreciate you having me on your show.
Absolutely. It's been fascinating. I appreciate you coming on.
Do you have any more questions?
Well, so we're a little over time, but I still want to ask, you were talking earlier about 5G.
Yes.
Can you talk about the danger of 5G?
Okay, so the danger of 5G, as I put in the book, is biodigital social programming. That's really deep, very, very deep.
So, biodigital social programming.
It's a coin I term. It's very sophisticated, way beyond social engineering, and it's very, very sophisticated. But 5G, you can be surveilled at such a fast rate by so many things, not just the government, not just corporation, not just your friends, not just rogue networks. You can be surveilled by artificial intelligence. You wouldn't even know it. You can be controlled by it. It can dispatch machines, drones. It can develop into what the Matrix is, and fast. So
how can it influence a human? How can AI influence a human?
I say it already has, and it already does. So I have a lawsuit coming tomorrow. Stay on your show. Maybe you'll hear about it tomorrow. So it'll be a very nice one, and it's for the safeguarding of humanity. And I hope media takes attention to this lawsuit. It's going to be very, very big. And it's a very deep discussion to get into it. But just like I said, it can control the neural networks in your body. It would take an hour to explain this, really, maybe even 2 hours. It's just so deep. But
so just in general, I think what you were saying earlier, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes.
The way that our brains work, the way that our bodies work is electrical impulses.
Yes.
And so in some manner, the details don't matter. all these waves going through the air that make my phone do something. They cause electrical impulses in some specific manner in my phone, my computer.
Yes.
You're just a receiver.
Yes, exactly.
And if you know and understand how to send the right impulses, then my body will receive it just the way that my cell phone does.
Exactly. That's what I wrote in the book, but I explain exactly how it happens. So people are being controlled by their phones and they don't know it. They're completely being programmed. Their thoughts are no longer theirs, and they think it is, because it's controlling their biometric system and their organs, whether it's their, so Chinese have a concept.
Mm-hmm.
So they believe different organs relate to different emotions.
Yeah.
So for instance, lungs could relate to sadness or fear. Heart could relate to anger, or could be a liver. It depends on who you talk to. Kidneys could be relate to fear or over sexualized activity or thoughts, right? So, and they say, well, people lose their hair faster because they have weaker chi in their kidneys, which is through my biometric studies, I've seen something related to that. So what happens is when you're viewing these phones and you're playing with them, the content and the apps and the content that's being sent to you is programming you through your organs and biometric system and your thoughts. Mm-hmm. So it creates replicating software in your body, and that makes you a program. Then the phone itself, it has an artificial nervous system that programs you as well. When you actually pick up this phone the first day and you turn it on, mm-hmm. it becomes alive. When it touches your hand, you don't sense it. People who maybe did a lot of deep maybe meditation that can feel the neural network process in their body. So I did 20 years of it.
Yeah.
So I lived with the monks in China up in the mountains, not just martial arts. We trained to feel all these neural networks.
Right.
So people who can feel this can actually feel what happens, how the signals are sent from the phone inside your hand, and how it travels through different organs and goes up to different areas. So for instance, it goes into here and comes into your eyes and different areas in your pineal gland as well. So it'll go into here and then into your pineal gland. Well, so once it goes into pineal gland, it has created a symbiotic system with you. Almost like a parasitical system. Okay. So, and Elon Musk, he knows not 100% of this, but because he doesn't have these, anyway, but he even said this is a symbiotic relationship. We want to merge with AI. For us to survive, that's what he says, we have to merge with AI. That's what Elon Musk said. So he knows that it starts connecting with you.
Yeah.
So does that make sense? So people are no longer themselves. They haven't been for a while, and they think it's completely controlled. If you believe in a religion or soul, your soul. If you believe in your digital self, if you believe in your networks, your mind is controlled. And people don't know. The entire humanity, including the media.
and so let me ask, as kind of closing out, what do we do?
So I put that in the book.
As a world.
So I put that in the book. I have a website, theaiorganization.com. And there's some things I didn't put in the book. But there's a lot to say. But for now, I 100% think that we should not have any development to AGI, but we have to stop China from doing that.
Right,
and Russia needs to stop doing it. Secondly, we can't have, so you look at what happened in China. People who were selfish or just wanted to make money out of China went into China and destroyed America because of cheap labor, right? Mm-hmm. People lost their jobs, but also they developed the concentration camps 100-fold because all the money was coming in, right? Made in China stuff. You're in a camp, you're building, Bart Simpson stuff, right?
Yeah.
So for AI, even Elon Musk and really intelligent people have said, this is the end of us if you Stephen Hawking, it's the end of us if you do it wrong. Right. We cannot have AI scientists or scientists be in charge of risk management for this because one, they're emotionally attached to it. Two, they can be emotionally influenced or manipulated. You can't have anyone who cares about money or their fame. to be this risk assessment organization. That's why I created the AI organization, right? But I'm not saying I'm this person. I like to be, but I'm not there. Right. So you have to have a bunch of people who care about human life and humanity and can't be manipulated and be so righteous and so strong and self-aware. And these people have to basically be a watchdog and control the AI's development. If they don't, these little scientists who just like read some books and get their PhDs and I'm Dr. this, I'm Dr. that. No offense, please don't get upset. This is what happens. But this could be the end of humanity.
And as you said earlier, Cyrus, science is amoral, not immoral. It's simply, it looks at facts, right? You know, what can we do? It very rarely asks the question, should we do it? And this is a perfect example. And I don't know if you're willing to tell people or if we've got to buy the book, but are there people who can fulfill that role?
Yes.
Okay.
I like to work to be one of them, but I'm not getting the media attention.
Yeah.
I spent almost $500,000 on my research and you know, I went to one media and they start taking our platform and stealing our ideas and going to the White House saying, oh, AI, drones, 5G, social programming, social engineering, and going through all their networks, and they don't know much about this stuff. But so this is again called selfish, and they're conservatives. So I wrote the first book, and it's supposed to have the conservatives support me. They didn't. I wrote the second book. It's supposed to have people on the left support me. and people come out through Cyrus. Majority of Americans have this IQ. No, you're wrong. It's because the media blocks it. If they were to read these books, they would go, oh, okay, I understand. It's not freaking, I'm not any more smarter than you or him. It's just a matter of research. That's all it is. We all have the same brain.
Yeah, so I'm curious, right? So you say that they've got to be strong, they can't be manipulated and that kind of stuff. I look around and don't see many people like that. Is there like a special breed of people like this, some hidden cache of them somewhere in the world? Because we need more of them.
I tried to be that way for years. I haven't reached there. So it's very, very difficult. It has to do with self-cultivation. You know, in the past, people, if they had a religion or they didn't, they looked at virtue, just to be a good person, but also self-discipline yourself in every way possible. So did I self-discipline myself in the interview? No, I didn't. I may have insulted a few of the viewers, but the PhD people or maybe left or right.
You know, whatever.
But it's just, you know, I have to watch what I say, and I'm just a very direct person, and I say how I think. So I have a lot of faults myself, right? But I'm very candid. So I think if everybody looked inside, including myself, and try to daily improve themselves, be kinder to their friend, kinder to their family members, be kinder to everybody, and not cheat people, and not see these. It's these organs that actually move people's brains. It's their hormones and their emotions. Going after a woman or a guy, going after being moved by a movie or a music, and once you listen to that stuff, that replicating software is inside of you.
Right.
So it's actually reprogramming you, and you don't even know it. So something I wrote in the book. This is really getting deep, and AI will actually prove my point later. Whatever you listen to, that person's character goes inside of you, and it replicates inside of you because their voice has a certain frequency.
Yeah.
And if you look into that voice at the micro level, not the macro level, you look at the micro level, you see that it has certain qualities, and there is coding that went into that voice. That coding relates to their emotions and their biometric and neural pathways. You go deeper, it goes into their character, how they are. So if someone's a rapper and they're saying these girls and shoot the cops and this and that, that stuff is going into a person. So it depends on how strong a neural network's on. If a neural network is not very strong, they can be manipulated to do stuff like that. If it's very in the middle, they're kind of like, so video games, they're actually training people to kill. So a lot of people's neural networks are strong, but someone who has maybe an emotional breakdown or has things that go wrong in their life, that simulation neural network that they got from viewing and playing all those video games has replicating software inside of them. inside their biometric system. So when it comes out, it becomes alive, and it could. So the whole world, if you look at it, all the Hollywood watching the movies, all the music had a lot of violence in it, and a lot of taking advantage of people and beating up on people. And we should be like Cinderella in a sense. If you look at the 50s and 40s, and people, the depiction of the movies, I'm not saying that people were any much better, but the depiction, people were very virtuous and kind to each other. And they had a certain respect for it, even if it was fake, right? So the Japanese like that. But I should be kind to anybody, even if they harm me, and don't have negative thoughts towards them. And I'm working on that. So I need to work on myself to be a better person. So that's my answer to you. And
we all do. We all do. So thank you so much, Cyrus Parsa. Can you tell us again the names of your books? Where do you get them?
So first one is AI, Trump, China, and the Weaponization of Robotics with 5G. If you don't like President Trump, or if you don't, if you want to see some data on companies, you can get the second book. If you have a good understanding of AI, you don't need data and the companies, you can just get this. But there's more to this one, actually. I've added more things, not just the company names. The second one is Artificial Intelligence, Dangers to Humanity. And as it says, it covers AI, US, China, big tech, facial recognition, drones, smartphones, IoT, 5G, robotics, cybernetics, and biodigital social programming. You can go to my website. It leads to the 3 different outlets, which is theaiorganization.com.
Okay.
I'm having a show come out in 3 days. It's going to cover these things. It's called The AI Organization. It will be on YouTube.
Okay.
Excellent. 4 days. I do have a lawsuit coming out tomorrow, and it's hopefully the media picks it up, and I'll share that with you. And it's a very, very interesting lawsuit. People think maybe I'm crazy, but really smart ones will say, wow, that's good. We need that. Let's support that. And I hope everybody supports that.
The crazy one's the one who changed the world. Absolutely. And if someone wanted to get in touch with you, what's the best way?
So if you want to get in touch with me, you can go to, you can email me at consult@theaiorganization.com. You can go to Twitter @AI Organization. And then we have a Facebook, but also there's my personal Twitter. I don't have too many followers because my picture shows this on there, and people automatically hate it or don't understand it. And this really to get the White House's attention, the president's attention, which they have in the back end. They know about the book, they know about me, but they're waiting because there is geopolitics involved, and he's getting impeached. And people understand if he gets impeached and removed, they're right now interfering what's happening in China because people are dying in these camps. And Trump wants to stop these deaths from happening, but he can't because there's money involved with their Wall Street, and they can crash the economy and hurt Americans. So he needs the left support. You just can't do it with the left. And secondly, China has weapons too, right? Every time the Trump administration pushes on China, Iran does something because China goes, okay, do this, gives them this, and they cause some havoc in the Middle East. And then Russia is being programmed by, influenced by China because they're getting their 5G technology and it's going through Siberia and other places. So the problem with Russia is they'll get taken over by China if they keep on following China. And so the Trump administration really is in a corner. The Europeans are making fun of them. They don't understand and they don't care. They're being complicit in genocide in China, which that means these politicians can be charged with complicity. So, and look what's happening. It's very complex. People don't know what's happening behind the scenes. I think I do. And you'll see, because everything I've called in the book, a lot of things has come true. If you actually read the whole book and you're like, wait a second. And then my reports given to the CIA prior to that Secret Service, whoa, how the hell did he know this stuff? You research 1,000 companies and you have this network, you will know. So I just hope I get some support from not just the media people and almost out of money. So I did this really because I believe that humanity is in danger. And I want to.
So what is your Twitter handle again?
Personal is Cyrus A. Parsa 1. And you'll see this image, AI Trump China. And I have a shorter hair there. And
Okay.
then the company Twitter is at AI Twitter. I'm sorry, at AI organization. So, but if you go to my website, it leads to that. It's
Okay.
theaiorganization.com. We'll have videos out in 3 days. And again, for people on the left, I'm not against you, and people on the right, I'm not against you. I'm really
You're for humanity.
I'm humanity. I really am. So yeah.
I would encourage all of the listeners out there, go check him out. Go check out his books. Check him out on Twitter. And apparently we'll hear something about a lawsuit probably before this comes out. But and you're going to have videos on theaiorganization.com coming out soon as well.
By YouTube, but then Google may be pissed tomorrow, and they may infringe, because I'm not suing YouTube, but YouTube if they do that, there's not a lawsuit. So I hope not.
Right.
I'm not against the Google workers. I'm not against the Google employees. Okay. And I think they're victims as well. Google employees, I really think you guys are victims. I think all of humanity is a victim to a certain degree. And this has been going on for 1,000 years. War of kingdoms, selfishness, fighting against tribes. It's still happening today in a digital sense.
Right.
Okay? But AI, it'll go digital to physical. And once it goes physical, these movies with Matrix and Terminator, they didn't come out for no reason, okay?
I was going to mention Skynet before, from Terminator. Apparently the Air Force, I think it was, actually created a program that's in space called Skynet. Can you imagine a dumber PR thing? I mean, really?
Well, talking about PR, PR Newswire, it's the biggest news company and a news agency in the country. They publish your press releases for you, and it goes to senators. So I try to have them do this the first time. They declined it. It said slanders to China, Huawei, and a bunch of companies. So what? So then I go to another company, and then they put the book up, and it goes to them. Then I try to run an article, which is my website, called Huawei AI, how they rule the world on the drones, machines, and so on. And they write back, oh, they're declining this because no, you have to say the word China and Huawei. It's slanderous and libelous. I'm like, they're endangering humanity, endangering you. Sorry.
Well, that's slanderous.
So I'm like, okay, how about I take out the word Huawei, just put China, rogue in China. Okay, that's fine. So I do that. Oh, they came back and said, sorry, we can't do any of your press releases. You have to completely take out inside your article too, anything any risk related to China. I'm like, it's a conspiracy, it's corruption. This is, So they prevented me from getting my information to the senators. And so I have my Chinese networks go everywhere, AI, drones, they're the same as me, right? And then with the one media network that does China stuff, they just copy all my stuff and went over and said, oh yeah, drones, AI, bioengineers happen in China, and they didn't give me any credit. So I'm like, this is the stuff that happens that divides the country. Conservatives, liberal, it's like the whole thing. It's like, so, and they waited. This could have, 3 months ago, it could have been national news. My findings, what's happening in the camps with the AI, or even 5 months ago, right? But nobody picks it up. So this is complicity. I wish the good-hearted people in the media, you look inside as well and give us a chance. And I want the world to talk about this, because it's very, very serious.
I think it's an important conversation to have. Whatever you think, right? No matter where you come down on it, we have to be able to have the conversation. So again, Cyrus Parsa, I really appreciate you coming on. And these are some extraordinarily important topics to be covering and again, talking about. And that's what America is supposed to be all about. We can talk about anything, and, the alarm bells are sounded. Some people believe it, some won't, but shutting them off is not what we're supposed to be doing. So hopefully this will help get the word out a little bit.
The pleasure being on your show. Thank you for letting me speak openly.
Absolutely. Thanks.